There are 4 seats up front, on the front row. Yeah.
I like it better this way than,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the regular meeting of the Beaumont City Council. Today is March 22nd, and today's invocation will be given by Reverend Tara Thompson of St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. If you choose to, please everyone stand. And please silence your cell phones. Also, please remain standing for the pledge to the nation's flag, which will be led by Blanchette Elementary Student Council President Alicia Washington and Jordan Thomas with Blanchette Elementary School. Thank you.
Let us pray. Almighty and loving God, we ask your blessing on the people who have been called to lead the city in which we live and work and play. Grant them and us the wisdom and courage to know and do what is right and good and true. May they and we speak out when it is time to speak out, and listen when it is time to listen. In times of conflict and disagreement, may the spirit of understanding and cooperation prevail. May they and we always be guided by the spirit of community, by the spirit of justice, and by the spirit of love, so that as they lead, they will serve and seek the well-being of all in our city, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Alicia and Jordan, please come forward to lead us in our nation's flag. Thank you. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Mouton,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Samuel, absent. Councilmember Durio.
Here.
Councilmember Getz.
Present.
Councilmember Turner.
Present.
Councilmember Felshaw.
Present.
And Councilmember Neal.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, today we have visiting with us Blanchette Elementary student government. They're here to observe the city council meeting. Students, when I call your name, will you please stand? President Alicia Washington, Vice President Jordan Thomas, Treasurer Adair Stevens, Secretary Leah Lambert, Reporter Olivia Williams, Historian Ryan Hetnott, Member Ian Vigors, and Member Ali Blewett. Also attending, one moment. Also attending are Principal April Johnson, please stand. Also Dana Fontenot, reading coach, Sandra Castile, counselor, and our volunteer Roger Sarrell, who put all of this together to make sure that the children at Blanchette Elementary could see Beaumont Council in session. And also with him, the additional 100 Black men of Beaumont. Please stand. Thank you so very much for attending. In addition, we have two proclamations today. One, Councilmember Chris Durio will read the first to our National Vietnam War Veterans Day. You may read. Thank you.
Whereas we commemorate those who fought in the Vietnam War on National Vietnam War Veterans Day, which is observed every year on March 29th. And whereas the Vietnam War was one of the most longest wars involving America and one of the most brutal, started in 1955, the war went on until 1975, making it the second longest war. During those years, over 3 million people were killed during these 20 years. All combat and support units withdrew from Vietnam following the war, but it continued to have an impact on many of the families and people affected by the war. And whereas, aside from honoring those who fought, there are 4 parts of this day which are also highlighted: the services of our armed forces and support organizations during the war, to pay tribute to the wartime contributions at home by American citizens, the advancements in technology, science, and medicine, and the contributions by American allies. And whereas the Vietnam Veterans Day service will be held on Tuesday, March 29th, 2022 at the Ben J. Rogers Regional Visitor Center inside the Ben Rogers Theater at 11 a.m. to thank and honor our nation's Vietnam veterans and their families for their service and sacrifice. And now, therefore, Robert Mouton, Mayor of the City of Beaumont, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, March 29th, 2022 as National Vietnam War Veteran Day in Beaumont, and encourage all citizens to observe this day by remembering and honoring all those veterans who served in Vietnam. Accordingly, the mayor has hereunto set her hand and caused the City of Beaumont to be affixed. Signed, Robert Mouton, March 22nd, 2022. And accepting will be Jim Haley, First Vice President, and Randy Hardy, Treasurer of Vietnam Veterans of America Incorporated, Southeast Texas, Chapter number 292.
Please come forward. Thank you.
Wrecked on the freeway, I almost didn't make it. I'm a Navy veteran myself.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Just take a breath. I'll give you a minute.
I'm sorry I'm out of breath.
That's okay. Can we get you some water?
I left my house at 12:15 to get here by 1:30, and I've been stuck on the interstate for an hour and 15 minutes.
I saw that, Rick.
So I did make it about the time y'all started calling our names, so I made it.
Thank you.
My name is Jim Haley. I am First Vice President of Chapter 292, Vietnam Veterans of America in Beaumont, Texas. And we are thoroughly pleased with Beaumont for giving us this proclamation. I'm losing my mind.
You're okay.
Jim is one of our elder members.
And Ray Hardy is our treasurer right here beside me. Ray's a good friend of mine. We've been around for a good while. Chapter 292 is very glad and appreciative of this proclamation. We are a group that's been around here since 86. And we thrive to do as much good as we can for the community. Anything you want to say?
You've pretty well covered it. We'd just like to invite everyone to the service next Tuesday, and we will have some refreshments, and just appreciate the opportunity to do it. Thank you very much.
And this is for Vietnam War veterans. We have a Veterans Memorial that we do on November 11th at the Julie Rogers. But this one here is for the ones that mostly went to war, at our war. And we were mostly all in the country. We have some Vietnam era that were in country, that were in the service military. But everyone, they couldn't send everyone to Vietnam. Somebody had to be in Germany, some had to be here, and some had to be there. And they all didn't get to go. Some of us was drafted to go that way. I was on board, I was in the Navy. And I volunteered to go to Vietnam. And it was a very good, different experience for me. But for Chapter 292, we thank y'all very much for this proclamation.
Thank you. Sure.
Thank y'all. We don't disrupt very often, but when we do, it's always got to have a picture. Oh, you're good. I'm not in it. Oh, no, you're good.
Come on, PC, I'll let you over here, okay. I'm not.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we will see you on next Tuesday. Thank you so very much. At this time, I will be reading the proclamation for Beaumont United. I will call you up and I will ask for the coaching staff also to please come up after the reading. And it goes as, whereas today we celebrate Beaumont United High School Timberwolf boys basketball team on winning the second straight 5A state basketball championship. Whereas Beaumont United defeated the Mansfield Timberview team on Saturday, March 12th, 2022, in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, winning the 5A state championship. The team worked hard using their skills, the Timberwolves' tendencies, and their determination to win with a score of 62-57. Whereas Beaumont United has made their coaches, their school, their community, and city, and the state of Texas very proud all season long with their hard work, championship spirit, and talent on the court. Whereas for their stellar performance this season, we extend sincere congratulations to the varsity basketball team, Clarence Paye, Wesley Yates III, Traylon Porche, Paul Anderson, Cameron Mickles, Caden Dotson, Daniel Williams, Mark Roach III, Colby Citizen, Terrence Ossino, David Johnson, Jaden Guidry, and Weston Davis. I would also like to mention that Terrence Ossino is the 2022 UIL 5A MVP. Whereas we would also like to recognize Beaumont Independent School District Board members and key staff, coaches, managers, and trainers for their continuous support of the basketball program. School board members, Senior Chief Robert Dunn, Senior President Woodrow Reese II, Vice President Stacy Lewis Jr., Secretary, and Board Member Joe Evans, and Mrs. Tilly Hickman, Kevin Reese, and Denise Wallace Spooner. Dr. Shannon Allen, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Ron Jackson, Athletic Director, Rolanda Fontenot, Assistant Athletic Director, Dr. Charisma Papillon, Principal of Beaumont United High School, David Green Jr., Head Basketball Coach, Assistant Basketball Coach and Trainees, Hancock Joseph, Joseph Fontenot Jr., Keith Hancock, Jimmy Weaver, Harvey Bob Jr., Team Manager Janaya Jenkins, Ravani Burton, Kyra Henry, Paris Young, Lexi Savoy, Faith Scardonia, Dante Tron, and Student Athletic Trainer Assistant Arian Walters, and then Simi Harrison and Fanta Coates Grant. Now therefore, I, Robin Mouton, Mayor of the City of Beaumont, applaud Beaumont United High School Timberwolves boys basketball team and do hereby proclaim Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022 as Beaumont United Day in Beaumont, and encourage all citizens of this community to celebrate these young players, their coaches, staff, the administration, and the families who have supported them. Accordingly, I, Mayor Robin Mouton, have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Beaumont to be affixed this day, March 22nd, 2022. And players and coaches, please come forward. Congratulations. 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 How you doing? Hi, I got a picture with you last year and I need to get a new one. Here you go. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay. Congratulations. 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 I look forward to seeing y'all play again. Congratulations. 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 All right. Congratulations. Congratulations, Coach Reed. I enjoyed the games. Congratulations. Yes, sir. Thank you.
GOT. Congrats.
If you'll get them to stand on that way, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
They don't even stand in front of us.
I know, because they'll never see me.
We got to pick her up. Stand up on your chair, man. They too tall.
Let's see. They can't see me. I need a box to stand on.
Come on, Randy, get on the other side.
Your back will be messed up. Yeah, could y'all open up in the middle?
How about they kneel?
Could y'all open a little bit in the middle?
Take a knee. Kay. Yeah, open up a little bit, Kay.
Who is this tall person right here? Kanye. Let's see. I need to go down there.
Just a little bit of stuff down there. Now we can squeeze in a little bit.
Okay. Now you can see.
Oh, okay. Got it? Yes.
He gotta get on this TV tower.
Okay. Yeah. Can't see the council at all. Can't see you guys at all.
She said she can't see us.
Y'all are good? Okay.
You got tippy toe up, man.
They don't see
They don't see Chris or Taylor.
All right, y'all looking straight ahead so everybody can get their photos. Looking straight ahead. Thank you. Continue just looking. Continue looking straight ahead. Lots of love in here. Lots of photos. Got it?
And look, they still getting on their tippy toes like they ain't in the front. We can roll this toe. Drone. All right, guys. Thank you.
Hey, y'all stay right here. All right, okay, let's sit. All right.
I don't know. Angie.
First of all, I would like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for blessing us all to be here today. He's the reason for all the things that are going on this day. And we're so pleased, Mayor, that you invited us and recognized us, Beaumont United. And we don't take it for granted because God is good all the time. This team has represented not only United, the city,
That's right.
and what they have shown the city that we can come together as one and not be divided and come together for one common goal. That's to win it all. And you can win it in not only on the basketball court, but win in life. And that's what it's all about, winning in life. I am so proud of these young men and coaches. They invested so much time in the kids. I mean, that what makes the difference. Our leadership from Dr. Papayan, and I got to say it, our activity director, stand up, Ms. Douglas. She is awesome. It's all about putting United on the map, and I appreciate you so much for what you do. And our athletic director, our superintendent, all the support that we get, the love that we get from all of them, it makes the difference. Going back to back is not easy. Everything got to fall in place. Everything. There was times, like the mayor said, looked like we were done. But God said, no, not yet. This is your time, your day. And it was all set in place. And we thank him and just give him praise because it didn't have to be this way. And it was for a reason. He keep on bringing us together to pull for one another. Don't be divided. Love one another and love yourself. And if you continue to do that, Beaumont is going to go higher and higher and higher. But we got to come together and love each other. Thank you guys for loving us. And we love you so much. And keep up the good work. And God will continue to bless you. Y'all pray.
Coach Green, I just want to thank you for those words. I would just like to say that I was so honored to have you here today, each and every one of you. And today, not only are you here to represent your state championship, but there's an elementary school that's here that can see the team that has come together that's representing not only our city, but our state. So you are a perfect example. I was mentioning to them upstairs, when everyone comes together and you become a team, teamwork make the dream work. And so thank you again, Beaumont United, for representing our city, continuing to put us on the map in a great light, not a good light, but a great light. And we are so honored to have you here today. Look forward to the parade. I'm gonna miss the basketball games, but I did enjoy them while they lasted, and hopefully we can look for another state championship, but it will be 6A next year because you're moving to another region. And so we look forward to having you back again. And again, keep up the great work. To the whole administration, to BISD, thank all of you for all of the wonderful work that you have done in presenting Beaumont in such a great light and representing us. Any other council, would y'all like to have something to say?
I just want to say congratulations. The school is in my ward. I'm so very proud of y'all. I really am. And I don't want to jinx y'all, but how about we say three-peat?
Well, winning a state championship is hard enough, but doing it back-to-back is just a remarkable feat. And I just thank so much of you guys for staying together and pulling it off. Congratulations.
Coach Green was my high school coach, one of my mentors. I appreciate you still there and still doing good in the community. Hancock brothers played against you. I can only imagine what you're instilling in these young men. And to all the players, man, congratulations. And I'm going to take it a step further. I'm looking forward to seeing some of y'all make it to the NBA, all right?
Woo.
Coach, well said. Team, well done. Thank you for the honor that you bring to our city. We're so proud of you.
Coach Green, I've watched you humble yourself for many years, but he says if you humble yourself before him, in due season, he will lift you up, and he continues to do that, and thanks to Beaumont United for representing us well.
Just like to echo what the rest of council said, and congrats.
Well, with that said, again, congratulations. Thank you for coming out. If you were here for the presentations, you can excuse yourself at this time. If not, if you're staying, we would love to have you. And I'll give you a moment to excuse yourself.
No, I graduated from Beaumont High. I went to Weirgate Elementary, Lincoln Junior High, Beaumont High.
Yes.
I was born in Newton and raised in Beaumont. Most of I came here when came to Beaumont when I was in the 4th grade. I've been here since then.
From Newton?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for what you do. Bless you.
Good job. Hello, how you doing?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Thank you for coming.
All right, great.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. Hope you enjoy it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming, sis.
Okay.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Good, thank you for coming.
Thank you for what you do.
I'm wonderful. How are you? Good.
Oh, yeah. Can you get some on this side? Yes.
You won't have to get out front on this one.
We got everyone? All right. There you go. Okay.
Thank y'all so much. Roger, thank you. Okay. Thank you. Now's the time for any citizen that would like to make public comment on consent agendas item 1 through 5. Please complete the green slip to the back of the room, hand it to the clerk to the front of the room. We would appreciate it if you will keep your comments to 3 minutes. The light will come on at the beginning and the red light will come on at the end of your 3 minutes. You may approach the podium. And do we have anyone today?
Yes, ma'am. Leela Cormier, 5770 Calder Avenue, Beaumont, Texas, item number 5.
Thank you.
No time, or Sheree? No time.
Actually have a chance to speak on the item when the item is presented.
Do you
She
want
does-
want
she
her
doesn't
to
have
wait?
She doesn't have to speak during
Right
general.
now? Okay.
I mean, she's entitled.
can if you'd
She's
like.
entitled to, but she has an opportunity to speak with no time restrictions during the item.
You want to wait? Okay. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Addie Allen, 6995 Gross, Beaumont, Texas. Item D on the consent agenda, and I think all the items on the agenda maybe, or item number 2. Which ones? Ma'am? Not all the items. Just 2 on the agenda and item D on the consent.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, City Attorney, and City Manager. I'm just really overwhelmed to see the children here, and I know this is taking my time, but hopefully maybe one of them will be sitting in your seats. I hope that sometimes or another that they won't just come for their event, but to be able to stay and sit and listen, and I hope that council will extend that, to the schools so that can happen. But I'm standing before you, as I was reading the agenda, the liquid polymer, and I was just wondering, I saw that it was 1-year contracts with options with 2 renewals of 1 year at the same pricing. And I'm just wondering if, with the economy like it is today, that each one of those won't be presented to council again for a change order for more money. So I know that traditionally, if I'm not wrong, that there's 1-year contracts that are awarded. So I was just wondering if this is just something new with the options. The other thing, is the 2-year renewal with 6-month contracts for the water, for the chlorine. And I'm wondering if, and I'm sure that you're experts and all of that, but with railways and shortage of transportation, will this be coming to the city of Beaumont every 6 months? Will there be any things that would keep what is so important to keep the water purified that would cause an issue? So I was just wondering if there's some reason why 6 months and not a year. Thank you.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
Mayor, I move for the approval of the consent agenda excluding item number C. I ask that it be voted on separately for the purpose of allowing me to recuse myself.
Thank you.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for the consent agenda minus item number C. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carry. May I have a motion for item C?
Move to approve item C.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item C. All in favor, please signify by
Mayor,
saying
I
aye.
have a question.
Thank you. Go ahead.
This is the third one from WorkQuest we've seen in probably the last 3 weeks. How many more are coming?
I believe we only have 3 contracts.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion?
This is just for C or just period?
Just for C. Any other discussion? Okay, no other discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have one extension. Councilmember Felshaw. The motion carried. Thank you.
Discussion on the rest of them.
Councilmember Turner, do you have a comment or?
Yeah, I was asking, are we gonna have any discussion on the rest of the?
On the rest of the consent
I had a
agenda?
question about F, yeah.
We already approved it.
Oh, I missed it then. Oh, well.
Yes, sir. We approved all of it and then pulling item number C.
Yeah, that's what confused me, but, all right.
I'm so sorry. Okay, may I have the reading of item number 1, please?
Mayor and Council, item number 1 is an ordinance entitled an ordinance vacating and abandoning a portion of the College Street right-of-way located at 5555 College Street, City of Beaumont, Jefferson County, Texas. Nathan Rivers is requesting the abandonment. A joint public hearing held on February the 21st. The Planning Commission recommended 5-0 to approve the request with one condition that is listed in your staff memorandum. That one condition has been met. Therefore, the administration recommends approval.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of item number 1. May I have a motion, please?
Move to approve with the condition.
Second.
I have a motion and a second with the condition. Councilmember Turner. Any discussion, please? All in favor of approving item number 1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. May I have the reading of item number 2, please?
Item number 2 is to consider approving a contract for the purchase of liquid chlorine for use in our water utilities department. Liquid chlorine is used to purify the city's water supply. We normally do, vendors on some products don't really want to go out for more than 6 months. It does give the option, to extend a contract at the same pricing if both parties agree. So that's why we do it that way. In today's environment, it's not likely that a vendor's going to want to stay with those prices or that we would choose to. We'll see what happens, but they continue to go up. The vendor's not going to want to extend it. If they go down, we'll want to go back out for bids. But when the environment is stable, those 6 months agreements can be good. If the pricing is the same, both parties will say, yeah, let's continue on. So that's the reason we do it that way. DXI Industries of Houston holds the current contract and responded with the low qualified bid of $1,724 per ton. This represents a 52% increase over last year's contract. Funds are available in the Water Utilities Fund. The administration recommends approval.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of item number 2. May I have a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. Discussion, Councilmember Neal.
Thank you, Mayor. What kind of containers do they store these in, this in?
They're metal canisters, I don't know, about the width of a 18-wheeler flatbed wide and probably three feet in diameter, but it's pressurized canisters.
Okay, thank you.
And they'll give us X number of them, and we store a quantity on site. So we have a reserve at both Pine and Loeb.
Councilmember Felshaw.
Just curious, I'm assuming this is a common practice for us. At some point, would it behoove us to purchase the containers as opposed to renting them year after year?
The containers are certified, I think, by the DOT, and so it's regulated. So
Okay.
they have to go through a process of certification, and so we rent them as part of that. We'd have to get into that whole business.
We don't want to do that.
No,
Yeah.
not for that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Turner.
I think the thing that stood out to everybody is the 52% increase. Have we kind of looked at other cities? Is the increase across the nation, or is it just something in Texas? Like,
This is going on everywhere. This is not just this chemical, but virtually, I think every bid of chemicals we use in the treatment process has gone up. Every single contract here over the last 8 months or more. So the inflationary environment's hitting us with this as well as other things.
Any other discussion? All in favor of approving item number 2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. May I have the reading of item number 3, please?
Mayor and Council, item number 3 is to consider approving the purchase of a software upgrade from Republic Meter Incorporated of Dallas to be used for our digitally reading our water meters. Itron fixed network equipment is used for reading the water meters. This purchase is to upgrade the software that works with the meters. The current software needs to be upgraded to function on our new server hardware and operating system that has been purchased. This has been planned for. It was budgeted in the water fund. The total project cost for the replacement of the software is $104,500, and the administration recommends approval.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of item number 3. May I have a motion, please?
So move for approval. Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor of approving item number 3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. May I have the reading of item number 4, please?
Item number 4 is to consider authorizing the city manager to execute change order number 2 to the contract with Placo Limited for the lift station and wastewater treatment plant repairs project. Back in March of 2021, the city council awarded a contract to Placo for this project in the amount of $671,493.01. The proposed change order is in the amount of $69,180.90, and it's necessary to remove and replace 4 sets of rails and a pump base replacement at the Bennett lift station. A total of 79 calendar days would be added to the contract for the additional work. So the project provides for repairs of damages caused by flooding from Tropical Storm Harvey. FEMA has obligated the majority of the funds for the repair and mitigation work, with the balance paid for out of the city's Harvey Fund. The work proposed in this change order is outside of the FEMA-approved scope, and it is not Harvey related. However, it's necessary that we make additional repairs for the functionality of the lift station. So the $69,000 additional cost would be paid for out of the Water Utilities Fund. The administration recommends approval.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of item number 4. May I have a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Getz.
Bart, when this project was originally let, what changed that it wasn't originally anticipated to have those rails and base? What's the difference for the change order?
What usually happens on the lift stations is it's a caustic environment, and so when they get into tearing everything apart, they have to evaluate the condition of the parts and components, and in this case, the rails and the base were not in good repair, and so they needed to be replaced.
Okay.
Mayor,
Councilmember Durio, then Councilmember Turner.
since this is was being paid for by the Harvey Fund, can you explain why this is not considered Harvey related by FEMA?
Because it's just, I guess, wear and tear over the years with the sewer gases, and it's not related directly to the flood.
Councilmember Turner.
With this being a second change order, just kind of make me look at it a little differently. Is there anything way that this could have been determined, or any of these things could have been determined in the first bid? Because I think we're up to like a extra 100,000 with both combined.
Again, it's hard to really know until you start tearing everything apart on these components. So that's the difficulty, is until you get it ripped down, it's hard to know whether it has to be replaced yet.
Councilmember Felshaw.
Thank you, Mayor. I must recuse myself from this item.
Okay. Councilmember Felshaw is recusing himself. Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving item number 4, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And one council member recusing. The motion carried. Thank you. May I have the reading of item number 5, please?
Mayor and Council, item number 5 is to consider a request for a driveway permit to allow for a second driveway to serve 5770 Calder Avenue. The homeowners at 5770 Calder would like to add a second driveway that would open onto Phelan Boulevard. The existing driveway would remain open. Again, that driveway faces Calder. So a permit for an accessory building at this address was issued in January of this year. However, the proposed driveway was not shown on the submitted plans, nor was a driveway permit requested at that time or granted. So city staff were notified that the applicant's contractor had removed a section of the curb and had started construction of the proposed driveway. So as no permits had been issued for this driveway, a stop work order was issued, which is the normal practice. The driveway request, there has been a driveway request subsequent after the stop work order was issued. So the driveway request has been verbally denied. So as allowed by the Code of Ordinances, the applicant has now submitted an appeal of the denial of the new driveway for further consideration by the City Council. I don't know the applicants. I've heard about them. I hear they're very nice people. I'm familiar with that house. It's a beautiful home. And, you know, in some cases, people don't know you have to get a permit for a certain aspect of a construction job. So there is a new storage facility that was built in there on the property. So if the council, let's say, doesn't grant this, they're not going to be able to utilize that storage building. I think the purpose was for maybe a boat and maybe another vehicle or so. Now, you have to ask yourself, would you want driveways going out onto Phelan? And I think most of it would say, no, you really don't. That's not desirable, and it was never intended that way. There are only a few that we're aware of, you know, driveways going out to Phelan. So in this case, it's a difficult position to be in for the staff because you understand what they're trying to do. And I think if any of us lived in that house, you'd probably like to have access onto Phelan. So we would caution you. I mean, personally, we'd like to try to help the applicant. We understand why they're making the request. At the same time, if you approve it, just know you're setting a precedent for the next folks that want to come forward and cut out a driveway maybe out of their backyard onto Phelan. So it's a difficult spot to be in. But we're happy to answer any questions you have. Bart and his staff and Chris Boone and his staff have been involved in this. We just wanted to give you kind of the background, and the city attorney knows a lot about it as well.
So does that mean in the event?
Point of order. Could we have a motion and before
I'll
we
make a
have
motion
discussion?
to approve.
One moment.
Before we make a motion, though, because this is an appeal, the staff presentation, Bart, because it was his decision, his engineering department has an opportunity to present, as well as the applicant who's appealing has an opportunity to present, because it is a due process thing. So because they're appealing, before we even make a motion to close evidence, they should have an opportunity to present to council.
And Mayor, I want to make a statement because I'm going to end up recusing myself from this because my house is listed as an exhibit in this, and I don't think it would be appropriate for me to weigh in on this. However, I do want to make a statement for the record that although my house is on Phelan and that it does have driveways that empty onto Phelan, those driveways were there when I bought the house. That house was constructed in 1993. I bought the house in 2003. And, you know, so I did not go to the city and get a permit or ask for any kind of special treatment. It was long before I got on council when I bought the house. But I'm going to recuse myself nonetheless.
Okay. So, City Clerk, Councilmember Getz is recused.
Mayor, for the record, are you saying that the driveways that serve your house, or what about the driveway? You talking about the driveways to the east of your house as well, or all of them?
I'm talking about the
Because-
driveway aprons.
Okay.
Where
What about the one new
the driveway apron
Okay.
to that property to the east of my house was there when I bought my house.
Did you put in a driveway in the last 5 years?
Mr. Hayes, I've made my
Well, for the
statement.
record, you made some statements. I want to make sure they're accurate, because I don't want anyone to say, look, you made statements and no one, you knew better, meaning staff knew better and didn't correct you.
Mr. Hayes, the driveway apron to the property to the east of my house was there to service a house that was on that property long before that house that I currently live in was built. That house was there probably in the 40s, and it had that driveway apron there, and I presume it had a shell driveway or a driveway of some sort to get up to the house. But that was long before I ever moved to that neighborhood, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so, Ms. City Manager, are you making a statement also?
No, I just want the record to show a new driveway was put in, concrete driveway next to his house. So There's no sense arguing, but you make some
Well,
statements
you're
as if
making
they
a big
weren't.
deal about this, Mr. Hayes. And again, that driveway that I put in only connected to the driveway apron that was already there. Okay? So that driveway apron was already there long before I bought that lot, which was when I bought my house.
No
in
one said
2000.
you did anything wrong.
Well,
I'm just
well,
saying.
no.
But you acted as if-
You're making an implication that I did do something wrong. I didn't do anything wrong.
Did you?
And so that driveway apron was there long before I bought the house.
You want me to go further?
I want you to go. In 9 days, you will.
I know that. A driveway was put in without a permit at that time, and we found out about it. So didn't want to bring that up, but you know, if you're going to push it, that's what happened. That's a fact. And then you went and took out a permit, your contractor did, after it had already started.
Mr. Hayes, I hired a contract. Boy, this is really inappropriate.
I didn't put it in the application, right?
Mayor, can we talk about the item that we're here to
yes.
vote on?
So,
Did you get your point of order answered? I was simply going to ask the question, but
Again, I would, it's important that we allow the applicant to have their due process in their appeal, which means they should be heard before any motion is made, as well as staff being able to defend their decision. So at this point in the meeting, it's important that either you hear from the engineer or hear from the applicant. The order in which you hear from them is at the discretion of the mayor.
thank you.
may I ask the question, Mayor? Am I
Yes.
allowed to ask the question? Or do I wait till after the applicant speaks?
I'm not really sure what your question is, but again, before we even start discussing it, you know, like I know the manager read, and typically we would go into a motion. It would be better
I will call for discussion.
for them to
so-
have their chance. But if you have a question, I guess, about the staff report, you can ask to staff.
No, I want to be appropriate.
Without a motion, are we allowed to ask questions of the homeowner, or do we wait till after?
No, sir, you can ask questions. Again, this is more like, in their sense, they're appealing. So it's appeal. So if any questions you have, you should ask of staff and of the applicant during their presentation.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call for the applicant and the owner of 5770 Calder. Please come forward. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Leila Rito Cormier. I am the owner, or one of the owners, and my husband, 5770 Calder. Y'all have questions for us?
I do. I know the city manager alluded to it, but I just wanted to make sure I understand clearly. I know that you built a garage. This is a large building to house a boat and an RV, correct?
Yes, sir.
Once the contractor began to remove the curb and gutter, I mean, he began to break the concrete, that's when the city discovered it and found that there was no permit. This was an oversight on your part and the contractor's part? You were not aware that you needed to get permission to do that?
Well, when we hired the contractor, he said that he would take care of everything. And he also said that, because I asked about a permit, he said, well, we do this all the time, and the same inspectors that we deal with will come and look at it, and he'll get it approved. So when the inspector showed up, the inspector said no.
And is it my understanding, I looked at your property, Google Earth.
Yeah.
If you're denied this, there is no way for you to take your RV or your boat to that building. You cannot access it from Calder. Is that correct? You can't go around your house? You couldn't pour a driveway just to have a different entrance into that garage?
No, sir, because the next door neighbor, his property sits higher than mine, and there's actually an embankment that goes upward, but there is not enough room to even drop a truck pulling a trailer through there. It's you can probably get a Toyota or something through there, but no, it's no possible.
And
So without approval, this would render that building useless.
Yes.
Yeah, and I actually have a aerial of the property that will point out there is no room for
There's
a
no room.
driveway from Calder, no.
I know you understand our concern, as the city manager mentioned. Our problem is setting precedents for other citizens. But we also know that in any society, in any rule of law, we always have to factor in the human equation. Because we do understand there's always, there can be extenuating circumstances. But this is a challenging thing for us. But we're here to serve the citizens, but we're here to serve all the citizens. And so that's why I just asked. This was an oversight on the contractor's part, on your part, and it wasn't done intentional.
No. And also, we are new owners of the property. And we purchased the property for the land that was in the back to put the building there for the RV and the boat. So all along, we were not given the correct information that we wouldn't be able to, access it through Phelan. So it was more than just that one oversight to stop us from using the property. Even before we knew about not being able to access Phelan, we took into account that it was a busy street, and we recessed the driveway like 60 feet.
40, 45 feet.
Okay, so that we could turn in completely, get out of traffic before the gate is opened. We did to do that so that we put enough driveway that we can turn completely around, and we can always exit vehicle first and never have to back into the traffic. So we considered all of that when we, put the driveway there, considering the traffic of Phelan.
So you feel you can negotiate this entrance and exit without a problem?
Yes, sir.
Mayor.
Councilmember Durio.
So this is not, this driveway that you're wanting a variance for, this is not something you're gonna be using every day?
No, it's for the recreational vehicle storage, and unfortunately, I can't go out on the boat every day. I'd love to. And I'd love to take the trailer, the RV out every day too, but I have to work, so it is only recreational.
Councilmember Turner.
The boat and the trailer, roughly how long are both?
20 feet.
I've passed by this location so many times, but of course, seeing it on this piece of paper doesn't really give us a true idea of
we really didn't want to bring this much attention to our little driveway.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause we actually had intentions, before we actually got this house, we had intentions on moving in the house on Blossom. So,
Yeah.
you've seen that one.
And there was
I'm
not
standing
enough
here
room.
looking at you, and I'm going like, I know this man, and I'm staring at
And
you.
that was from the house
We
from
did the house
Blossom.
on Blossom.
Okay, they just did a house right in my backyard, and I'm going like, where do I know this man from?
Right.
Okay. Now I've connected it.
Yeah. You should have moved in the house in Ward 4.
Councilmember Turner.
Ms. Reed, at this time, can we ask any questions to staff?
Yeah, staff has a presentation, so if you want them to do their presentation, they can do their presentation. You can ask questions, or you can just ask questions of staff.
Yeah, I'll watch the presentation first, and hopefully they answer it in the presentation.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say or present? And
It's been 2 months today that I've been trying to get this driveway. And I just hope that the city will consider allowing us to get the driveway there. It was an oversight of where the street was located.
'Cause well, I do have a question. I'm still trying to figure out what's the difference between the collector and collector arterial. What's the difference between the two streets?
The amount of traffic,
What's the amount of traffic?
number of vehicles
Okay.
on the
that what those counters that the city put out sometime kind of count number of cars that passes on
They look at number of lanes and number of vehicles between more out here and using different classes, like you said, of streets. Neighborhood streets, collectors, arterials, highways.
I got a question based off of that same comment. So what's the difference between this portion of Phelan versus other portions of Phelan?
Are you saying other as in the portion up, I guess, west of Major by Westbrook?
West or the other way? I mean, there's other driveways that come out on Phelan.
There's only, there's no other residential driveways that come out on Phelan.
That's not true, down there by Westbrook.
Well, hold on. But from Major the other way, there's no other driveways that come out on Phelan that are residential, with the exception of 7950 Phelan, which was previously mentioned. Now, the houses or the properties that are across from Westbrook, their only access from their property is onto Phelan. Those properties back up to a railroad.
To the railroad.
And there's no other access to their land at all except for Phelan. And Phelan downsizes as well on that side. It's no longer a divided road with a median. So those are the differences.
Okay.
Well, so you said when you're coming in with your trailer, you'll be able to pull all the way off the street before the gate opens? So you won't have to stop in the street at all?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Sure. There's a recap in the background section as far as dates of what's occurred. Kyle pretty much went through this before, so I won't read back over it unless y'all have questions. But I'll repeat or echo what Mr. Hayes said earlier. This is a difficult situation. I mean, we all understand that if it was our property, we want access to this building. What engineering's doing is looking at the ordinances that the city has in place, which are quoted under comments on the first page, which is trying to prevent driveways onto arterial streets such as Phelan or collectors for that matter, because those roads are intended to channel traffic safely, not intended for access from residential properties for safety reasons. So that's what we're looking at when we're saying we don't want to drop driveways onto a roadway like Phelan. In the end, you'd turn it into something that looked like Lucas if you allowed that all the time. We met, we looked at this. We analyzed Phelan from Major to 23rd. There's no residential driveways onto Phelan east of Dallin Road. There is that one property at 7950 Phelan that does have driveways on it. The longer aerial photo that I distributed, that's captured from Google Earth. That's a 1938 aerial view, and the red circles show that driveways existed to that property way back then, so probably even prior to the 30s. And you can tell from the road was not developed like Phelan is today. So that it's just historically back, that property had driveways. If you look from Major to 23rd on Phelan, there's 106 residential properties that back up to Phelan. So that's another thing we're looking at and would ask you to consider, is that if you do allow driveways onto Phelan, there's 106 other residential properties that could come to us and ask for driveways onto Phelan as well.
Okay, but does the property go from Calder to Phelan all the way through?
They either go from Calder to Phelan, as this property does, or they go from other streets to Phelan. So there's a number of other neighborhoods that back onto Phelan as well, that are served by another road in a residential area, and the property backs up to Phelan as well. So there are other instances where you could get additional properties or homeowners that come to you and would also like access on an intermittent or permanent basis onto Phelan. So with this being a major artery, we discourage the residential driveway use. We're looking at safety concerns. It's a higher speed traffic. It's not as easy to detect residential driveways. Commercial drives usually have signs advertising the business and are more open. So that's where we looked. There is an aerial view, as I mentioned earlier, that outlines the property and the dimensions, and you can tell from that. It also shows the development of the building and the proposed driveway for their property, and you can see that there's no way to put a drive in from Calder for that. They're too tight to the borders.
I have a question.
Councilmember Samuel.
So, the curb had already been removed, is that correct?
We noticed that the curb had been removed on January 27th when we issued the stop order.
Okay, and there's been no concrete poured for the driveway?
No, sir.
So is there, from the street, from Phelan, there's an easement? Is there easement prior to getting to the street?
Being right away?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, right away. About
Right.
What's the footage of that?
I think it's 40 feet, 50 feet? From the curb to the end of our right.
Yeah. About 5 or 6 feet. So, in an application, if someone were requesting to do that at this point, we would not do that.
If they had put a permit in, when they initially brought the work to the city, it didn't have a driveway on it. If it had had a driveway in the initial submission and at the end of December, we would have come back and said, no, we don't allow driveways onto Phelan.
Okay. Now, would it be a violation of the city ordinance to have concrete from the building up to the edge of the easement?
2 feet off of the easement. Yeah.
Pardon? That would not be a violation?
So it could be, you could pour a driveway up to within 2 feet of the property line, which runs parallel to the right of way, as long as you had a grading permit.
Okay, and that would be no problem getting a grading permit?
I would not think so, but it would have to go through engineering review.
So that simply means we would not be setting a precedent if they were allowed to do a drive from the garage up to the 2-foot line.
Correct. They can pour concrete within their property. That's not a violation of the development.
So that means would it be a violation for them to utilize that ingress or egress for pulling RV onto their property.
I understand where you're going. If you pour concrete up to 2 feet of the property line and then they put a gate in on the fence and they drive over the grass and over the curb onto Phelan, I mean, that's worse than having a driveway, because you're gonna be slower coming out of that onto a arterial that you've got traffic going 40, 45 miles an hour on.
But it's not illegal.
No, sir, it's not illegal.
Are you mentioning coming out of their private gate? Oh, okay.
She's still stuck on 79.
Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to approve the driveway.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Do we have discussion? Question?
Yeah.
Councilmember Samuel.
Would you clarify your motion? You're just saying to,
They can cut the curb and pour concrete.
all the way to the street.
Question.
One moment,
Oh,
Councilmember
you got it, I'm
Samuel
sorry.
has the floor.
While I'm thinking, go
Well,
on.
Again, just want to make sure I understood the homeowner correctly. You took the fence and there's an offset, is that correct? So that you can see clearly traffic coming? And then you've widened it and you've made a turnaround. You've done everything humanly possible to where you can enter and exit this property as safely as possible. Okay.
Yeah, they've put it to where they can pull up to the gate and they'll be all the way off the right of way, or off of the road. I do need to mention, if y'all approve the variance, we do need the homeowners or the contractor for the homeowners to put in for a driveway permit and a grading permit, which has not been done to this point.
Okay, so does Councilmember Neal need to modify his?
He doesn't need to modify it. It's just if y'all approve that, they do need to put in for those permits so that we can finish that paperwork.
Okay, Councilmember Samuel.
Yes. At this point now, I address my question to legal. This sets a precedent. It does. Does it not?
So, and I guess you need to explain for the people who are viewing who are not attorneys, who don't understand, when we say precedent, it's like what that means. Essentially, the ordinance does allow you guys to overrule or hear an appeal and make a decision based on hearing all the evidence from both the applicant and the engineering department on whether or not something can happen. However, in the future, when engineering denies a driveway permit for it, not just Phelan, but any what we consider arterial road that doesn't normally allow for a driveway, this case or this particular instance will come up. And so we know that there are some distinguishing factors in this particular situation that may not exist in other cases, but this one will come up as something that you previously allowed to happen.
Such as the knowledge of that ordinance when purchasing the property, as opposed to already purchasing. Those type of things would make a difference.
Yes, sir. And I think the applicant was aware. They said, when they purchased the property, they, weren't aware. They thought that they were able to and they purchased it with the understanding. I'm sure they had a conversation with their realtor. They weren't, aware that they wouldn't be able to back up to Phelan, or use that as an access point. They also had a contractor who, licensed and bonded in the city of Beaumont, who they assumed knew to pull the proper permits, and maybe did not happen. So the reality is that all those things, I guess didn't work in their favor. However, someone else can have a totally different situation, right? Can pull the permits, can do everything they possibly need to do, and come to you and say, I still want to put in a driveway, even though I'm not in, I guess they're kind of in semi in hardship. This is the design I want to use. This case still can be used as an example.
Well, I think it's important that we make sure it's understood that if we change for one, even though there may be different reasons, but in the courts we would have to justify
Yes, sir. Each applicant has their own
Stand on its own.
own
Correct.
fee and justification. Correct.
And so that's why I've been hesitant to do things that set precedent that has not been done before, because if you allow one person to go beyond the ordinance, then it opens the door for that to happen with others. However, we still can justify our decision based on a different set of factors. And that's what I understand this to be, is there's a recognition that there's a unique situation that occurred. And because of that unique situation, a decision is being made. Mayor.
City Attorney, I have a question. Can language be added to state that, so in the future that, because we will be setting a precedence that because of, and I see Councilman Samuel shaking his head no.
I'm just gonna say this. I don't really like the term precedence. I feel like, again, this was a special set of circumstances that are unique to this particular property. I know that we have several other properties that back up to Feeling. If they all chose to put RVs in their yard, some of them might have enough side yard to go around the side of their property, which is something that would, maybe be considered when saying no, because you have enough to go a different route. And so I feel like this particular situation, this particular application is unique and specific to them. And so there isn't a need for any special language, because we're going to be reviewing, or the next councils in the future will be reviewing any appeal if necessary, just like the engineering department will review each individual permitting process individually based on that particular property and not this particular case.
Okay, thank you.
Questions first.
Councilmember Duria.
I just want to say, if we approve this, it doesn't automatically mean that anybody that wants a driveway on Feeling could come up to it and we have to automatically approve it. It's going to be a case-by-case basis if they have a special set of circumstances.
Yes, it would mean that they would rely on a previous, that's what a precedent is. It relies on a previous decision. So if their situation was, uniquely situated as well, they would expect that council would follow a previous decision.
But we're not beholden to that. We don't have to approve it just because we approve this one.
It could cost us, but no, we don't.
So to answer, whenever you deviate from the normal, there needs to be a very distinctive reason for deviating in order for it to be a sound rationale. So this particular deviation for what we would normally do, as Bart mentioned, we would normally not allow a residential driveway on Feeling, is a deviation for what we would normally do based upon a unique set of circumstances that they would have no other access to this particular building on their property for their recreational vehicles, but for this additional driveway. That may or may not be the case for an additional person applying for an application for a driveway on Feeling. However, if it was, we would need to consider that, and this case would be the premier example, so to speak, for that.
Okay, Councilmember Felshaw.
I think everything's been said. I was going to say is this: I understand that we're trying to find a balance between setting precedents and yet doing what this body's called to do, and that is in extenuating circumstances to make a variance or to allow for a variance, and knowing that it should be done sparingly, but there are times when it's necessary. And then every case is judged on its own merit. We look at each individual case, and I think that's the purpose of this council, is to make those hard decisions when there are extenuating circumstances. But there's a balance between, I understand, precedents and also trying to look at each case individually and looking at extenuating circumstances.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Turner, then Councilmember Samuel.
The first ordinance, can you tell me when that ordinance was actually put into place and written?
I don't.
Ordinance 26.03002, the first one that we have. The one that says, arterial streets such as Feeling Boulevard should not be developed with direct driveway access to parking. When was that ordinance came about?
That's the subdivision ordinance. So the latest iteration was 2003. The earliest version of the subdivision regulations was the mid-1940s.
And just with that being stated, with it being 2022 and what we're discussing right now, I think it may not be bad to revisit the ordinance that was written. That's just my preference, my opinion.
I would not.
Yeah.
I would not make it in general a rule that we allow.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't say in general,
arterials.
but we're talking about specific reasons, specific times. You know, like the language in this is saying it, but today we're saying for certain circumstances we're doing this.
But that's why we have the variance process in place. The ordinance states that if you're developing, it speaks directly to developers. If you're developing an arterial street, don't put residential driveways in it. I think that's still very valuable for safety and aesthetics.
Yeah, this isn't this isn't for any individual homeowners. This language was in place for developers. And again, like, you know, when we started, you know, building, you know, subdivisions and homes, that was for their purpose, not to kind of have streets facing major and some of those other.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilmember Durio, then Councilmember Samuel.
I have one question for Bart. Bart, we approved this. The other two permits that they need, what you said it was,
They need to put in for the driveway permit,
And
which
a
hasn't
grading.
officially been done, and they need to put in for a grading permit.
but they shouldn't have any problem getting those permits approved.
No, but we need to go through those
That
permits.
process.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember Samuel.
Well, I simply want to thank the commissioners for being straightforward and trying to do the right thing. And I just say, I'll extend this, Councilman. This is not necessarily just for the benefit of the individuals and their desire of what they put into this. It's also about, when you talk about changing ordinance, you're talking about liability. If someone comes along and there's accident there as a result of allowing that type, that's the other thing we have to think about. So I'm good.
Okay, Councilmember Gibbs.
Bart, did you say this was from 1938? And this purports to depict where 7950 Phelan is located?
Yes, sir.
And it shows driveways there, which 1938 predates the subdivision ordinance that you just referenced. So people could put driveways there without violating an ordinance back then,
Yeah, it's hard to
presumably.
even tell what the roadway was at that point. Could have been unimproved. And I
Could
don't
have been
know.
outside the city.
Yeah.
And to Councilmember Samuel's point about being careful about changing, there's a lot of houses to the east of me that have their backyards that back up to Phelan. And with allowing this, any of those people might want to be able to put a driveway in to back a boat into their backyard. And the problem with doing this would be that, you know, how do you say no to them when you haven't said no to the Cormiers? And I think that's the point that Councilmember Samuel was alluding to earlier, if I'm not mistaken. So I get that this situation is what it is, and, you know, I'm still not going to vote on it because of my house being used as an example, but I understand your situation.
If it comes up again and they have any way to gain access other than to connect to Phelan, I would ask that we push them towards those avenues. But yes, you're correct. Any other property that also only has ability to access some portion of their property from Phelan, it would be a similar case.
Okay, Mr. Boone?
Mayor, just real quickly, I don't think we've had one of these appeals in the last 16 years that I can recall. If this indeed opens the door for follow-up appeals, you know, again, I think to some of the discussion here, we could always look at tightening up the ordinance. I mean, a lot of cities have what are called traffic management And they try to, encourage folks to locate driveways in certain locations. They encourage commercial businesses to share driveways, so you don't have driveways every 50 feet. And we have some of that now, but again, if it becomes an issue, we can look at making changes to that in the future.
And I think that's what Councilmember
So
Turner
yeah,
was alluding to.
that's what I was alluding to. Actually, tighten up the ordinance so it could be more specific to situations such as this, not just doing away with what's already existing. So appreciate you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Thank you. Congratulations. You can now proceed to get your permit. Okay, now is the time for the public hearing. I will now open the floor for the public hearing.
Oh, you want to comment? Okay. Mayor and Council, Planning and Community Development staff, along with the Community Development Advisory Committee, they have hosted public hearings in order to receive comments on the process and activities related to the 2022 Annual Action Plan. Attached in your packet is the proposed budget for the 2022 program year. Mayor, we would request that you open the public hearing again to receive comments on the public services and public facilities improvements line items of the Consolidated Grant Program's 2022 Annual Action Plan.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf?
I don't have any, Mayor.
Okay, there's no one here to speak on it. I will now close the floor to the public hearing.
I have a question on it, Mayor.
Councilmember Neal.
So there's two line items. One's public service, which is 15% or $200,000, and one is administration, 19% or $263,118. Can you explain the difference for me on these?
Yes. So under the CDBG regulations, there are certain limitations on different line items. And so there is a 20% cap on administration. And so what that is, as you can imagine, is mostly staff for the program. However, because our staff exceeds that, HUD does allow us to charge some of that administrative expense to the housing programs like the minor repair. And so if you see the rehab admin, that is in conjunction with the minor repair program above. So again, it just allows us to cover those administrative costs, but still stay within the rules of the CDBG program.
Any other comment or discussion? That's it. I will now move to public comment. Now is the time for any citizen that would like to make public comment. If you haven't already done so, please fill out the green slip to the back of the room, hand it to the city clerk to the front of the room. The green light will come on when it's at the start of your 3 minutes, and at the end of your 3 minutes, the red light will come on. Please respect the 3-minute red button warning. And do we have anyone that would like to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Addie Allen, 9695 Gross, Beaumont, Texas.
To the manager, council, city attorney, city manager, and mayor. I'm standing here because I want to give kudos to the fire department on Major Street, Jesse Rachel, Casey Sanders, Dalton Burke, and Jonathan Bodie. I had a situation that's really funny. There wasn't a fire at my house, but I had a ring on my finger where my finger was turning blue. And never would I have thought that the fire department have a process called ring rescue. So if any of you get a ring that you know is too small for your finger and you wear it anyway, the fire department can help you with the small jaws of life. So to those gentlemen, I thank them very much. you know, because we have city employees that do good things, you know, and I think that something should be said when they do. I would like to have my name taken off of a situation that I didn't agree with, and I did call the city clerk, but I don't know if it has to go through a process, probably do. But when there was a discussion of 555 Main, I did not stand up here and have an opinion. I have a lot of opinions, but I didn't have an opinion of that, and it's in the record where I agreed. So I would like for council to take steps, because I didn't agree with that. I hadn't even studied that, didn't even know there were going to be a lot of people that day on that situation. And I was looking at further where 555 now has to have, or was approved to have, air monitoring and some other situation because of asbestos. And, you know, I would not like my name to be on that, because I think that that building should have had that study before the city bought it. Thank you for your service. And, you know, we pray for our city and for the Ukrainians, and that we all get there to heaven, you know, and that we won't have so many X's, more checks by our name, that we did a good service for the citizens and for our brothers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ronald Kelly, 2295 Angelina, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon. I'm here today to express my concern and safety of children. I live at 2995 Angelina, right across the street from McLean Park. And I observed this weekend children operating those scooters that are being laid around the city. And when I say children, I'm talking about 10, 11, 12, and they're misusing them because they're not only on the scooter, but they got other children on the scooter with them. And as I'm sitting there observing this, I'm like, I know there's going to be an accident. I know it because I'm watching them run the stop signs, disregard the stop signs. And sure enough, a child fell off that scooter into the street. And I don't think that that was you all's intention when you all approved for these scooters to be placed. I really think we need to perhaps rethink this, or at least go back and examine it to put some parameters in where children can be protected, because they don't have any headgear on, they don't have any elbow gear on, they don't have any knee pads or anything of the sort. And it's just going to be a travesty if some child is injured with some catastrophic head injuries or even death because they are allowed to operate those scooters. I asked a young kid who was probably about 12 or 13, how do you obtain these scooters? Well, we just get the app and we use the QRC code and we pay for it and we operate them. And so I would really hope that something can be done that we don't have a child get seriously injured because they are operating those scooters and they're improperly operating them. On Angelina Street, it's a lot of uneven services and patches and all this stuff. So as I'm seeing them riding those scooters, I'm seeing them hit the bumps. And if one kid just mishandles that, they're going to be laying in the middle of that street. I even saw an adult who unfortunately put a toddler on there with them, and that toddler fell off. So I'm concerned and expressing it to you guys. I'm sure that hopefully you will be concerned and this can possibly be addressed, because I just don't believe that those scooters being out there were intended for those age groups to be operating those scooters. And so I just wanted to come and express that to you guys.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Gary Taylor, 87, and I think that's 25 Brayburn, Beaumont, Texas.
I want to say thank you for this opportunity to come before you, and I have come before you today because I feel like I need to make a petition to each one of you here this evening. And I would like to, if I may, I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I would like to turn my 3 minutes into somewhat of a show and tell. I come here representing the Amelia area in our city, and to inform you people here on City Council and the mayor and the city manager, which he already knows, we have problems with sewer lines, where in our homes we have problems flushing our toilets when there's an abundance of rain. And I have been an active member in the neighborhood association and the Acorn Association, it's called, and we have brought this up at our neighborhood association meetings several times. Several of you council members have been at our meetings sometime, and you know, I'm a Christian, and I think that you that are Christians know that divine appointments happen in our life. And so I feel like I have backup today because of Molly sitting here. Years ago, there was a project that started on the sewer lines when they busted out all the old sewer lines and repiped them with the plastic or whatever it is, and then the drainage was supposed to be better. Let me say this, it did work for a while, but now we have reoccurring problems on our street, and I don't know if it's necessary for me as a citizen in my neighborhood to go down in my street and get a petition activated so that we can, as a neighborhood, can bring that before y'all to take care of some of the problems that we have with our sewer lines. We had a town hall meeting where the meeting was held. Kyle says that we have budgeted money set aside in the city budget to take care of sewer problems. And if I could, could I do a show and tell to show you? I was in Houston today and I just got back home, and I would like to show each one of you what we're in our neighborhood are having to contend with. Mike attends our meetings. He's our representative for our neighborhood association, and I have discussed this with him many, many times and showed him pictures of sewer line problems. So if I may, and Carol, if you want to come and go with me, I'd like to go around and show each one of the council members what we're having to contend with, because I have a sewer line problem. I have a manhole in a neighbor's backyard that called me, said that he can't flush his toilets because of the rain. We called the 311 number, and they came out today. Super people that you have working for us in our sewer and drainage system. Really good representatives. I have no problem with them. And their explanation to us is there's not anything that I can do about it.
Okay.
So at this point, I would like to, if I could.
One moment, sir.
I would suggest, we appreciate Mr. Taylor being here. I would suggest that we set up with Chris Boone, Bart Barkowiak, Mike Harris in the back over water and sewer operations, Molly Villarreal, to sit down in person with Mr. Taylor and discuss this and show you the work that we have done. And you're right, show you the work we're planning to do.
All right.
And we need to do. But I think that would serve a better purpose, and we need your help, and they can listen to you and tell you again, look at their, all where their piping's located and so forth. So they're willing to do that and would want to do it, and we can make that happen.
Yes.
And Mr. Taylor, no disrespect to you, it's
Yes.
just that if you show it to me, I wouldn't know what I was looking at anyway.
Well, you can see it if you look at it. I've got a picture.
Outside the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I've extended, I've extended your 3 minutes,
Right.
but really if the city manager and Mr. Harris, who's over that department, he's in the back.
Right.
They can get with you.
Right.
And I think the efforts of them looking at it would be better served.
Okay.
Okay, thank you
All
so
right.
very much, and I'm sorry for the trouble.
I'll wait around too. Okay.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm gonna follow up with council member comments, and I will start with you, Councilmember Duria.
That's a good one. Oh, she realized she started with you last time.
I started with you last.
One thing, Saturday from 3 to 6, they're gonna have a celebration at the Sarah Street Wellness Center for Beaumont United's basketball team. Free food, entertainment, things like that. So y'all come on out. Also, if you look on the city's Facebook page, there's a survey for broadband. There's a committee set up for this, and there's money available for this to improve broadband in Jefferson County for the whole county, not just in Beaumont. So, and it'll help if you can go on the city's Facebook page. There's a link, and you can click on that link, and you can go and fill out that survey and turn it in, and it'll really help out a lot. Also, spent last week at National League of Cities Conference in Washington, D.C. Really learned a lot, did a lot of networking, different ideas to improve Beaumont. Also got to hear President Biden speak, so that was pretty nice. And we have a kids summer camp. It'll be June 6th through July 29th at the Sterling Pruitt Center. I'm pretty sure you can go to the city's website and look that up, and just remind everybody about the Vietnam Veteran Celebration, Tuesday, March 29th, 11 a.m. at the Rogers Regional Visitor Center. So thank everybody for coming. Thank you for your participation. It really was nice. We got to have the Blanchette Elementary student council come and observe council and learning stuff, and then the Beaumont United basketball team, and both of those schools are in my ward. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Councilmember Getz.
Congratulations again to Beaumont United for their second consecutive state basketball championship. And we had a very nice meeting of the Meadows Neighborhood Association last night with Dr. Sotolongo giving a presentation on latest advancements in cardiology. And we're probably going to combine the Dallin West and the Meadows Neighborhood Association meetings for the next couple of months. And we'll kind of monitor that and see how that goes. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Turner.
I've attended some of those Acorn Neighborhood Association meetings. I think you guys do a good job. Just a suggestion, I know Mike runs it, but it might be a good idea to maybe get some staff present at one of the next meetings so we can kind of discuss some of these issues out in the open and come with some positive solutions, to some of the problems. We know that area is a older area in our town's infrastructure, so, possibly if we can work together and get some staff present at the next neighborhood association meeting or one in the future when everyone's available, I think we can have better dialogue with, everybody involved in a positive way. I talked to Bart recently when I first got on the council about the first basketball state title that was won for Beaumont United, discussed some water towers that I see in other towns. Sometimes you ride through and you see, their state championships on water towers, and I just asked, how does it normally work? And he explained it to me, and possibly that could be something we explore on our next project, maybe partner with BISD and see if we could come up with funding or raise the funding to, get those kids recognized. So that's something to be proud of, and I think the whole community would be in support of it. Either the city or raising the funds or partner with BSD, however, to, make that happen the next time we do work on repainting one of our water towers.
Thank you, Councilmember Turner. Councilmember Felshaw.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councilmember Durio mentioned, we were in D.C. with the National League of Cities, and there was a meet and greet for all the cities from Texas, and I do believe that Beaumont had the largest representation in that meeting, and so your council was there representing you well. I was thinking, I know that President Biden addressed the conference in one of the general sessions, and I would just encourage everyone, considering the Ukraine and where we are right now with the economy and inflation, we all need to pray for our leaders, from the president down to the mayor. We need to pray for our leaders. We're living in challenging times. Thursday, South Texas State Fair starts. Take your children, your grandchildren, and let them spend all of your money. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Samuel.
I'd just like to say congratulations to Beaumont United, state champions.
Thank you. Councilmember Neal.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to once again say congrats to Beaumont United. But I would also like to say congrats to Veritas Classical Academy that competed in the state for mock trial in Dallas last week and came in 8th. And so that's another local Beaumont school.
Great. Thank you.
This might be my last meeting with City Manager Hayes. I just want to.
Oh, Lord, I thought she was resigning.
No, you coming back? No, you coming back?
My blood pressure just went down.
You want one more? Oh, we do have another. Oh, well,
One
never
more
mind.
Tuesday.
Never mind. I forgot.
Okay. City Manager? We'll save it for next week. Okay, in light of everything that has been said, first and foremost, I would just like to say continue to keep Ukraine in your prayers. As the Ukrainians say, it's them today and it could be us tomorrow. So continue to lift them up in prayer. Also, again, Saturday, Sarah Street Wellness Center will be celebrating Beaumont United on their victory on a second state championship, but don't forget to bring your lawn chairs. It's the only thing I want to add to that. Also, in reference to the comment that was made about the scooters, unfortunately, some adults think that that scooter is something to play with, and it is not. It is a motor on that scooter, and that's why I refuse to get on it, because I don't need another scratch on me. However, there are some people that don't take the adult responsibility that they need to take, because you have to use a credit card to purchase that. So I don't know of any 8 or 10-year-olds that are packing a debit card or a credit card. So therefore, they're using an adult form of payment. And so the responsibility that the adults are not using, or the lack of, is sad. But thank you for even speaking about it. But I believe in the future, if I were to see that, I would probably call the police or 311 to notify someone that children are operating a motor vehicle, because it could be very, very serious and very dangerous. And unfortunately, as you stated, there was an adult with a toddler on it, and it's so, it's serious, and you could be seriously hurt. But thank you for bringing that to our attention, and hopefully people would not play with that and respect not only themselves, but everyone else that's involved with that, because that was never the intention of the council. The intention was just to bring an additional quality of life, something that other cities are using and other cities have for recreational. And I believe it is serving the purpose that it was intended to serve. Saw a lot of people out on scooters during spring break, and I would just hope everybody would put safety first. In addition to that, I got a phone call from a constituent this morning that was very disturbed. They were at Kroger's last night shopping, and her 11-year-old grandson was grabbed by a citizen that was shopping on Phelan in Kroger's, and he broke away from the man and was able to get away from him, run to the car, and today this child is devastated. So I'm stating it because I believe people need to be aware that there are predators out there, that and it was a male. So regardless of a female or a male, there are predators out there. Please be aware. Just make sure that you look around your surroundings and to be careful, because I don't think predators care. There was a time where they would abduct young females, but now they are abducting males at pretty much the same rate that they are abducting females. So it was just a caution and a note that I just wanted to put out and make citizens aware. And on another note, don't forget the South Texas State Fair. It will open on Thursday, and if you look outside right now and think about what went on this morning, you would never believe we had the rain that we had. As a matter of fact, I have a flooded backyard right now. And so I understand when people say when it rains, it pours, and the problems that you can have from a hard rain. But it's beautiful, expected to be beautiful the rest of the week. So please get out, support the YMBL on another year. I think it's the 74th year of the South Texas State Fair. And in closing, I just want to say, I saw the most beautiful story. A 4-year-old named Austin in Birmingham, Alabama, goes out once a week and he feeds the homeless. And I was also at the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C. One of the great things about going to conferences like that, you get to meet other council members, you get to meet other mayors. Throughout the years, I formed relationship with a lot of different council members and mayors across the state, and I do have friends that are on council in Birmingham, and I'm gonna call down there because that was the sweetest story for a 4-year-old to be out feeding the homeless, and he said that was just the joy of his life, to feed the homeless. And every time he gives someone a sandwich and a drink, he leaves them by saying, spread the love. So I'm going to say, spread the love. Thank you for coming today, and we will adjourn. Thank you.